Hey, welcome to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. Snuffy buyers, hey, what's going on, fella? Yes, I am getting gray or snuffy, but Father Time waits for no man, and it is what it is. But we're going to be off and running. As you can see in the background, it is an overcast day. It's very gray. I think winter's coming, JT. Man, I called you JT. Big game, James. I think winter's coming, as much as I don't want it to.
I I'm of the elk. I'm not the right person to talk to with you about this because
you love winter.
I thrive.
You thrive.
I thrive in the cold.
You're gonna be glowing when the snow gets here and the wind and all that good stuff.
Yes.
That's trash.
I go and I grab a little miniature ice fishing pole and I grab a little plastic sled and I waddle myself out onto the ice.
Do you do well ice fishing?
I would like to say yes, but I think most people would probably say it's more about the extracurriculars and the stories I come back with.
Extracurriculars?
More or less the incidents that happen for me.
But if
there.
you're pulling a sled, that means that ice house ain't very big.
No, it is not.
So that's a two-man job. You got to
Some
go
days.
out there with somebody you like, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, you definitely do. I'm still working on that.
Yeah. I'll pass. I always wonder, in the summer, you got to drive all over the lake to find the fish, right?
Yes.
But then in the winter, you're telling me you could just drill a 1.5 foot hole and, oh, there the fish are. I don't think so. Anyway.
If only it was that simple, right?
So my hiatus from talking politics is over because we're going to have a new president January 6th. And of course, everybody's asked me, well, what do you think? I don't. To be perfectly honest with you, I could care less. And the reason I can care less is because, like I said, both parties are two sides of the same coin. All right? And if everybody thinks that because the Republicans own the House, they own the Senate, they own the presidency, that all of a sudden magically things are going to get better, I got news for you. They're not. They will improve because we've got nowhere to go but up as far as what happened the last 4 years. But we need to be realistic about some things. Okay? We can improve the economy, but unless we improve standard of living in this country, not much is going to change for a lot of people. Unless we build our infrastructure, not much is going to change for a lot of people. And so like I said when Trump was elected the first time, he's the president. Okay, I can live with that. Because the bottom line is, it's up to us as citizens to take care of our cities, our states, Because on the national level, I got to tell you, it's not like anybody in Washington is looking out for people in North Dakota. You just have to take a look at it. We're a blip on the radar. If you're not a major city or you're not a major player, or most of all, if you are not a super PAC or a corporation with a lot of money, the U.S. government really isn't working for you. And that's the sad truth of it. Just think about it locally. We have a city commission locally that says that it's not the government's responsibility to be involved in homelessness. We don't need to fund people making bad decisions, which I have heard come out of people's mouths in government. So that's what we're dealing with as a nation, is politicians who aren't listening to their electorate. And it's much bigger than parties. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It is up to us as citizens to control what our government does. But again, they're pulling us left and right. They're making sure that we're divided so that we can't find any peace or common ground that helps move everybody forward. One of the reasons that I like living in Fargo is big enough where we're still at a point where we look at it and say, this is the proper way to do things. We got a lot of business people out there, people that have a lot of money that are trying to do the right things by the citizens of Fargo. That doesn't happen every place. And I'll say it again. I know some people in here that have a little scratch, and we really do. Shields leads the way in philanthropy. That can't be understated. And again, you get people that say, well, they just do it so they can put their name on the building. Who cares? They're doing it. You know, Kevin Christensen, the money that he's given to the schools to help work-based learners. Sorry, Kevin, to put you on blast because I know you don't want people to know what you do behind the scenes, but the Christensen group has done some great things in this community. You know, Ray Qualavog. You know, we have beautiful courts down on 52nd at the new sports complex down there. These are all people with money doing things in the community that some people look at it and go, that's a drop in the bucket for them. But you know what? Even if it's a drop in the bucket for them, at least they're giving. And the minute that we start saying, well, these businesses shouldn't get this, these businesses shouldn't get that, we also have to remember that these businesses are also what keeps our economy afloat. And it's funny because in Fargo, a lot of times, people don't realize that we always have a low unemployment rate, meaning that we struggle to get employees. You know, my business, I'm constantly searching for people to wash windows. You know, that's the nature of business in Fargo. There's so many job opportunities in Fargo that most people, if they don't like, and I know young people that have had 3-4 jobs in a year. And I talk to them and I say, well, what, you know, the idea is you want to have a work history that looks a little better than that. And they have any myriad of reasons as to why they didn't maintain the job that they had. But the point is, there are plenty of opportunities to work. If you don't have a job in Fargo, you just don't want to work. You know? You just don't want to work. And then we all, you know, I had Jason Ellert on our show. Jason, I got it right this time. And he talked about how the trades are paying money. They're paying for education. They're paying people to come work. You know, they're paying people to go to school. I guess everybody pays somebody to go work. But they're paying for education because it's something that we need in this community. I won't say the trades are dying, but they're definitely in the hurt bag, you know, and part of that is our educational system. But I like the fact that North Dakota is being proactive in moving this thing forward. So with that, we're off and running. See, after a year and a half, I'm starting to realize when the breaks might be coming up, or, you know, I took my medicine, one of the two. But when we come back, I can tell you that we are going to talk about, remember, in July, I took over as the president of Dynasty Elite Athletics. Dynasty is a football, it's youth football. Okay, and we have FM Athletics, which is the large youth football league in this town. But the difference between Dynasty and FM is that Dynasty uses traditional Pop Warner rules. Okay, meaning that you play football the way it's meant to be played. Now, I understand FM's concept of your linebackers can't do this, or you have to have people have to wait till the snap of the ball, do this, and this. There's all rules where the game has changed, but FM is about participation, you know, and they believe everybody plays, okay? I think it's fantastic. At the same time, this league that is Dynasty, now it's travel football from 10U all the way to 12U, 14, I forget the number. But the point is it offers an opportunity for North Dakota athletes or kids in the city of Fargo to test their mettle against teams in other states. And we just had a team go down to Tennessee and play on the national stage. They earned that right, and they went 1-3, but I can tell you the experience for those kids, for those youths, those athletes, those cheerleaders, it was outstanding. So when I come back, I'm going to have Heidi Hawkins, her and her husband Nick, started Dynasty Elite Athletic with the idea of bringing a league that promotes athleticism within our community, which highlights football, North Dakota football, but we take the show on the road. And I have a special guest who's with Heidi. He will remain nameless until we actually get him on so you guys can see this guy. He has grown a great deal within the program. He's one of our athletes. And that's going to be on the docket for today. In addition, I'll talk a little bit about my I went to the Chiefs game this past week, and when I come back, I'm going to lead in with what happened down in Kansas City. This is Jon Adams with Talk of the Town. We're off and running. If you want to call in, the phone number's 701-293-9000, or you can email at studio, WDAY radio.com. Yeah. Hey, welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. I'm here with Heidi Hawkins. Welcome, Heidi.
Hi, good morning.
And I don't even know his name, but he goes by Deuce. Welcome to the show, my man. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, I thought I might have an election hangover, but I got to go to Kansas City, and I'd never been to Arrowhead Stadium, and I got to see the Chiefs play, and I had really great seats. It was amazing. And then, you know, when you see Patrick Mahomes on TV, you're like, yeah, it looks good, but in person, he's pretty impressive. He's way quicker than I thought, and Kareem Hunt is more powerful than I thought. Okay? Those were the two guys that stood out to me. And I got to tell you guys, Travis Kelce, he's just a big old T-Rex. He is huge out there, but he's light on his feet like a ballerina. I mean, his hands. You know, a good receiver, when they catch the ball, you don't hear it. And he would catch balls and it'd just be like this, psh, psh, and you would barely hear it. So, yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. One thing that struck me was, now, have you guys been to a game at U.S. Bank Stadium, like a Viking game?
We have not.
You have not? Go sometime. It's a real treat. And the decibels in that stadium get up to about 115 to 125, right? At some points during the game, the decibel level at Chief Stadium was north of 135. Wow. Did I just say north? So north of 135. So I had noise-canceling headphones on, and it was so loud that by the middle of the second quarter, I said to my wife, let's go back up to the suite because it's behind glass. And so we spent the rest of the game behind the suites. So I'm going to tell you the other thing that happened at the game that kind of threw me was, you know how you go to a game and people are standing up? Okay, so the Chiefs fans, they stand up the whole time. They only sit during commercials and timeouts. And so, you know, I'm a Viking fan. You know, we sit and we yell at the right times. You know, we're quiet on offense. Well, these people are absolutely, you know, they say fan is short for fanatic. They were wild, you know, and their left tackle, number 76, kept getting beat. And all of a sudden, I hear this person say, you know what? They need to get that guy some help. They need to chip that guy with a tight end. And, you know, or that running back needs to chip him. And I looked over. It was a woman. She was going crazy. And it was just, I mean, kids, everybody, the whole city is scarlet and gold. It's just, I don't know. It's like they eat and breathe Kansas City. And maybe it's because it's kind of like the Bison, you know, where they're winning, so everybody shows the colors.
Sure.
You know, and maybe right now because they've had back-to-back Super Bowls, that's why it's like that. But that's not true because I've been to Kansas City many times, and it's all Kansas City. I went to the Shields down there, and they had a little tiny section for the rest of the NFL. Like you go to our Shields, and you can find a pretty good supply of just about any team you want. Not in Kansas City. They make it perfectly clear that this is Chiefs country. Welcome to the show, Mike, Rob. Hi, Kathy Sumption. Anyway, so Deuce, what is your favorite part of being a Dynasty Elite Athletic?
That everybody gets a chance to show what position they can be and earning their spot.
Yeah? And so what position do you play?
Quarterback.
Quarterback. Oh, that's right. We spent a little time about bringing your arm over the top, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did it help?
Yep.
So I still know a little bit. So I'm ancient in the coaching game. I haven't coached for about 10 years. But, fundamentals in the game, they hold true, right? You got to get your fundamentals down. You like throwing the ball or running the ball better?
Throwing the ball.
Yeah? Okay. You got any touchdown dances that you do? You got any celebrations? You got any handshakes?
No.
No? Man, okay, so I don't have a whole lot of love for quarterbacks or running backs or receivers because they get all the glory. When I was your age, I was big and fat, so they put me on the line. Nobody knew me. All I got to do was block and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the quarterbacks and running backs, they're getting all the accolades. They get in the end zone. What's the toughest part about playing quarterback?
That you have to remember all the plays.
Right?
And make sure everybody knows what they have to do.
Right? Do you ever get wide receivers saying, hey, we should run that play or
Yeah.
running backs? Yeah? What do you tell them?
Run the play that I said.
You got to control the huddle, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, regardless of whether you win or lose, a lot of responsibility falls on you. What's one of the more difficult things about playing?
That you have to keep your composure whenever things aren't going right.
Yeah, right? So, hey, listen, speaking of composure, just trying to keep my composure on this show sometimes, it drives me crazy. But in terms of, now you guys are getting ready to go where?
Tennessee.
And you guys get to play on the national stage. Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, listen, my coach always said, if you're not nervous, you're not ready, right? And the funny thing is, I tell the story that when I played, just before the ball was snapped, I played linebacker, okay? And I'd be like, I'm going to die. And then as soon as the play started, I was like, oh, I'm hitting somebody. And it's amazing how you have that fear and then adrenaline takes over. But do you find that when you play, when the play happens, everything slows down?
Yeah.
Is that not, I mean, it's crazy because you're getting ready to call the play and it's like all these different things. And the minute you say hike, it's almost everything is in slow motion, right?
Yeah.
Have you taken any big hits?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing you got to do is this, right? You got to adjust your helmet. Then you got to check and make sure you can walk, right? And then it's like you generally look for a lineman then, right? Like, hey, man, I need a little more protection over here. Break off any long runs this year?
Yeah.
How does that feel? Now, you got to tell me because I never got to score a touchdown. How does that feel when you cross the goal line?
Like super hyped and like your teammates are all running and like coming to help you and making sure you're okay and stuff.
Yeah? And then you get to the sidelines and the funny thing is that you don't feel tired while that is happening. But I can remember coming off the field and it's like whether you scored or not, you get there and all of a sudden you realize I'm exhausted, right?
Yeah.
And you try to get somewhere and the coach is trying to talk to you. You're like, dude, can I get some water? Can I? So you're a leader on the team. I've seen it on the football field. I've seen it at practice. What is your philosophy to leading or getting your team ready to do what they need to do? How do you do that?
Like making sure that everybody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And just like controlling how they like act at practice and stuff.
Is that right? Well, that's something else, right? Because you're trying to get all these guys. You got a common goal. Who's three of your good friends on the team?
My friend Rayshawn.
Yeah.
My friend Jackson.
Yeah.
And my friend Emmanuel.
Yeah. So you guys all like, hey, you sit together on team buses, you eat together. You guys do anything outside of football?
Yeah, we go like to the Rusted and throw and get extra work in.
You mean it's not Xbox and?
Oh yeah, we play games and stuff sometimes.
So why are you going to the Rusted? I mean, you guys practice 3 days a week, right? Why you go to the Rusted?
To get extra work in.
Why?
To make sure that we're still like.
Now you know I know the answer, right? But the fact that you're telling me that you get your guys together and you're like, hey, if we want to be next level, if we want to travel to Tennessee, we got to put in the extra work. And that's like anything in life. What type of student are you? What's your grade point average?
3.0.
3.0? That's a solid B average. I'll take that. I can tell you that mine was never close to that. But that also, like football, it takes time and commitment, right?
Yeah.
So what do you plan to do? You're not even in high school yet, are you?
No.
No. You got good, but you're going to play football in high school?
Yeah.
You think you'll be ready?
Yeah.
Why?
Because Dynasty, it's already like doing what the coaches do at a younger age.
It's like I'm just feeding you these answers. Being on the radio is pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you should become my co-host. Maybe, are you a Viking fan?
No.
What? Get out. No. Who's your team?
The Bengals.
The Bengals? Where did you grow up?
Fargo.
I don't. How do you become a Bengals fan from Fargo?
Because I like Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow ain't been in the league as long as you've been alive. Who was your team before Joe Burrow?
The Vikings or the Saints.
Okay, there it is. All right. So your favorite player is Joe Burrow. That's why you supported the. So I suppose you grew up with Adrian Peterson, right? Watching him, I suppose he was your favorite for a while. Now so you guys go by who your favorite player is, not necessarily team.
I like Drew Brees more.
Drew Brees. Who's Drew Brees?
He was the quarterback for the Saints.
You mean the cheating Saints that put the bounty gate on Brett Favre and cost my Vikings a shot to go to the Super Bowl? That Drew Brees?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done talking to you. So, welcome, Miss Heidi. How are you today?
Good morning.
You know, I got to tell you, Deuce, we were on a roll, and then you had to bring up that Saints debacle. You know, when they had, was it 2007, 2008, the year the Saints won the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'd have known that, you wouldn't even got close to the studio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, taking over as president, I have gotten a crash course in real life, you know? And I've been the president of boards. I was the president of the Grover Athletic Club board, and I've been involved in athletics for 30 years. But this is a different animal,
Yeah.
you know, because we serve people that may not have the resources to be able to play this game or even be a part of the league,
Yes.
you know?
Definitely.
And I'm baffled. I mean, I know you guys go out and there's a lot of fundraising involved, and it takes a lot of work. So first of all, I want to commend you and Nick because it's not easy. It
you.
takes thousands of dollars. You know, 70% of our athletes need some type of financial aid to even be able to play. There are athletes that need to get to practice, you know, that maybe don't get something to eat. And you guys are more than just you guys. I got to quit saying you guys. Dynasty is more than just football. I mean, you guys started this. Did you ever see it get this big?
You know, I think my husband Nick would have said yes. I didn't. This was his dream. This was his.
Hang on one second. So Heidi's going into it, and Big Game James says, "Hey, we got to pay these bills." So
I said after the answer. Come on. I was
know,
trying to be polite.
I know, but it would have been segmented. So when we come back, Heidi's going to tell us about Nick's dream, and like a good wife, and my wife is going to kill me for saying this way, you just supported your man and believed in his dream. So when we come back, we're going to talk more with Heidi Hawkins on Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. Jake Anthony, welcome to the show. We'll see you on the other end of the break. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000, or you can email at studio@wdayynow.com. back to Talking Time with Jon Adams. Welcome back to Talking the Town with Jon Adams. Evidently, I was deciding to talk out of the back of my neck, which is actually a song by Cameo. But so we're back here with Mr. Deuce and Heidi Hawkins talking about Dynasty Elite Athletics. So, Heidi, we were talking about, I asked about the success that you guys have had. Did you see this coming? And you were frank and said, I didn't, but Nick always saw this and he had a vision for it.
Yeah, I think Nick dreams a little bit bigger than I do. I tend to say a little more centralized. So it was kind of like either get on board or get out of the way. And I chose to get on board. And we definitely, particularly the first year we started it out as a couple and we were tackling it head on. But we've grown so much more since then, yes.
And the work you guys put in is showed. And, you know, when I was asked to come join Dynasty, it's one of those things where you go, okay, how much work is there to be done? Does it look like it should look for growth? And you guys recognize that you guys needed to be more structured. And so this year I found a couple things that we could certainly improve on. But overall, the one thing that did need to be improved on was first, the product on the field, okay? The sense of family and community, right? And the growth of the young men and women that are at Dynasty. And so how do you develop that? How did you guys develop that culture?
I think honestly, we grew into it really. I'm sorry.
Louder.
I think we grew into it really naturally. We, you know, over the first couple weeks, you know, everybody's kind of standing on the sideline. Nobody's really talking to anybody. And then once we get rolling competitively, that brings people together. So then families started hanging out with families, and then bonds were starting to form, and it just kind of spread throughout the entire organization. And, you know, we offer all these different kinds of volunteering opportunities. So you get to spend time with other families and parents outside of the actual football field. So you can build those relationships that way too.
Well, as you know, most of your adult friends when your kids are born are the parents of your kids' friends.
Right.
Right? And you know, when we were at Oak Grove, we had a wide range of people that we hung out with all the time. And you do become like a big family. And the funny thing is, family is not without conflict. And what I found interesting is I didn't see so much parents having problems with the coaches. It was parents with parents or parents with kids. And to balance that, it all falls on the board. It falls on the people that are involved. And I was amazed at how little of that there was. I mean, we had incidents, but I was amazed that it was typically one or two people, you know?
Right.
And I've been a coach for 30, 35 years, and that part of it was amazing because usually it's a group, okay? And it's and per team. Now there are what, 4 teams, 3 teams, I forget.
3.
There are 3 teams, and it's funny because there should have been way more going on than there was, and that amazed me because that's not the way it happens. I mean, at the high school level, I mean, every year I could count on 5 or 6 parents that were just constantly, either they didn't like the coaching or they didn't like their kids' playing time or they had a way to create a better mousetrap. And so for me, I liked it because that was at a minimum. The other thing is I like that for the most part, people were about the kids.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. One of the reasons that I did join Dynasty was I almost said I have affinities for kids. I have an affinity to mentor and help these kids to be better or to get to the level that they want to get to. And to do that, you have to come down to their level. It used to be kids were seen and not heard, and we fit them into our lives. Now, with the access to information, we have to go to where they are.
Right.
You know, I know you and Nick, I mean, the level of involvement that you and Nick have with kids outside of your immediate family, sometimes I think you guys take on too much. And sometimes the stress of it all, it shows on you guys' face. You know, and people don't know that behind the scenes, We could talk every night about things that happen. How do you manage that?
It does get a little tricky, and it spills into.
It gets a lot tricky.
It does.
Let's not see. One thing you guys will find out about Heidi is that she has a way to spin things so that's never as bad as it seems. Okay, and you know, we're talking about something that happens and something that's real. It gets a lot tricky because you're balancing grown folks, you're balancing in kids. We haven't talked about coaching yet,
Right.
because we have some very dynamic coaches, and I can tell you what. Coaches always want to improve the mousetrap. You know, they always have these grandiose things that they think, and it's funny, it's not for their system, it's here's how we can make the kids better. Here's what we can do to make our offense better, right? You've been involved with that, Deuce. Hey, what if we did this? Meanwhile, the players are sitting there while the coaches are deciding what's the next play, right? Maybe we should do this blast play. You're like, Coach, we got enough plays. How about we just run these plays and get them down, right? Yeah, that happens. You can shake your head. That happens, but that's all part of the process. And somehow we've managed to get two teams to play on the national stage, you know? And we held our own for the first game, which was amazing because I didn't see that coming. That first game, I did not see that coming. But so how do you balance that?
It is tricky, and it does spill into. We talk a lot of football at our house,
Right.
so I don't necessarily know we have the best balance to it, but it works for our family. It works for my husband and I, and thankfully now that we have the board, we can disperse some of that so it doesn't fall directly on us. So
Right.
it has gotten a lot easier for sure.
Well, I'm glad because you know, dynasty is a needed element in this community. And people don't realize that without dynasty, there would be a lot of kids out there that wouldn't have the opportunity. A lot of talented kids.
Yes.
And we know that they're talented because our kids that have gone to the next level have done very well. And that's a testament to the program itself. We have kids in the area high schools that are doing well. And I had their names, and it's on another sheet. But that speaks to, are we doing something that matters? Okay? And then there's the second part of it. You know, we instituted a policy where you needed to be a good citizen in society and at home. You needed to be a good teammate, right, Deuce?
Yeah.
And you needed to be a good student. Those were the three tenets of Dynasty because we recognize that it's not just about football. We are building quality, well-rounded human beings.
Yes.
And we work and I said this at our very first parent-player meeting is that it's a partnership. And we have parents. By the way, I want to thank all the Dynasty parents that raise money through the Dome, through the popcorn drive. It takes a lot to keep this thing rolling. And other than some of the issues that were crazy to me that didn't have anything to do with Dynasty, I thought this parent group, when it came time to raise money so we could, you know, I want to tell you guys something. You don't get to play when you see these guys playing the Dome and we put on an event, they just don't give you the Dome. It costs money to rent the Dome. So when you go and watch FM Athletics, they just didn't hand the Dome to them and say, hey, you guys take this Saturday and let's showcase all the kids. The Dome was like, hey, we need to generate some revenue, right? And so all of that, it takes money, you know? I mean, there are kids that needed equipment. That takes money.
Yeah.
It takes fundraising. So, you know, we have a website that you can go on and you can donate. We're hoping that we can get a couple of corporate sponsors in the next few months that can alleviate some of that. But without the sponsorship, I would say that there are 70% of our kids that need some sort of financial assistance to be able to be a part of Dynasty.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing that I hadn't really expected. And I'm not going to say that, you know, at the Grover Athletic Club it was different, but it was different. You know, that number was closer to 10%, and we were fully funding things that teams needed, but we're funding things like shoes, you know, pants. I mean, uniforms. This year, uniforms as well as equipment. So Big Game James says, well, speaking of funding, we got to go to commercial so we can keep you on the air, big guys. So with that, we're going to come back and we're going to finish up with Dynasty Elite Athletic. Heidi Hawkins and Deuce. At some point, I'm going to learn his real name, but I like Deuce. It's a solid handle. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000. Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. I'm sitting here with Deuce and Heidi Hawkins. Heidi and her husband founded Dynasty Elite Athletic. Deuce is one of our top flight quarterbacks in the league. Great smile, great student. We were talking off air, and I'll leave that. We won't put your business all in the street. That's part of the guy code. You know, we don't put our business in the street like that. But anyway. Do you have any? How do you guys feel about going into Tennessee? She ain't playing.
Oh.
How you feel about it going in right now? You think you guys are ready?
Yeah, a little bit. We still have preparation and stuff for practice to do.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the game plan, but that would be stupid for you to talk about the game plan on air. I was going to ask you guys have any wrinkles. You know, I don't know if you know it or not, but I played a little football and we went to national playoffs, and you always throw in a little, like a package, and that they might not expect. You guys do anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to get specific, but it's pretty exciting because that's where the coaches really have put their minds to it, and it's like, hey, they're not going to expect this, and that's kind of the chess game. Do you play defense?
Yeah, sometimes.
What do you play on defense?
Linebacker.
You're a linebacker? Can you hit?
Yeah.
Knocked anybody out yet?
No.
No, you ain't stuck anybody? But it feels good when you get a good hit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I always say that football is great because young men need to get out aggression. And if you're having a bad day and you get to play, and even on offense, you can lay the lick. But on defense, you see somebody holding that guy and he ain't tackled yet, oh, you're running full speed, right?
Yeah.
So with that, so you guys are going to Tennessee. Are you driving or are you flying?
Flying.
Oh, yeah. I could not drive. I hate driving. So when you get there, what are you guys going to do? You got a water park, activities? You guys are, I suppose, nothing till after you guys play, huh?
Yeah, probably lay down.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Deuce has made it play perfectly clear. Tennessee, get ready. We're standing. You guys are all business. right? We're not going there to have fun. We're going there to bring back the title, right?
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. So, I've said it before that if you look at it over the years, North Dakota has produced some great athletes. And you don't have to look far. You can look in the NFL. There are a number of athletes that have come out of North Dakota. NDSU has really put us on the map in that way. And I always say you don't know where a kid is going to be 4 years from now when they enter high school. And so at Dynasty, the very first thing is we preach fundamentals. We teach doing things the right way. It's very important. But the second thing is the mental game. When you say that a lot goes in, you have to be a smart football player, right? Or you have to be smart to play football. What are the 3 things that you would say that you have to be able to be successful as you play?
Leadership, accountability, and good grades.
Holy cow. I thought you were going to say fundamentals, know your playbook. So what does leadership look like to you?
Making sure everybody's doing the right thing, and if people are messing around, tell them to stop.
Yeah? Do you tell them or do you grab them and shake them?
Grab them.
Sometimes, yeah, right? But you know what? Sometimes if you're just talking, people don't get it. And then you said accountability. What does that mean to you?
If you mess up a play, just say it's your fault, and then don't worry about it. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, you have to have a short, particularly as a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't be perfect every play. One of the hardest things about playing quarterback is just getting the handoff to people, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're blind, and if that guy is an inch off now, fumble, and it ain't like they're going to say it was a running back's fault, right?
Yeah.
It all falls on you. It's a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, you get the Wheaties box, you get the girls, you get the endorsements. You got any NIL money coming in yet?
No.
No, that's college. I forgot. They're not. We're not out that level yet. Well, I wish you much success, and I'm glad that you came on the show because it really shows, first of all, that it's not about football. You've represented Dynasty very well. And there are tons of kids in our program like you, right?
Yeah.
And there are tons of kids that want to be great. And also, how does this translate when you're in school? You have to represent Dynasty, and that means something when you put on your Dynasty Elite, huh?
Yeah.
Certain sense of, do you guys wear your jerseys at school like during game day, like in the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every Friday.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't get to the other stuff that we needed to talk about, like donations and stuff like that. If you want to donate, you can certainly go to our Dynasty Elite website. And we need money for travel always. We're going to have to ramp up equipment. We have to make sure all of our equipment is safe. And so, that stuff, you can get a hold of me. My phone number is 701. I almost said 701-293-9000. 701-261-7312, or you can go to the Dynasty website. We do have a donations page. I want to thank you guys for being on the show because this is part of what makes Fargo great. Okay, this is a 501(c)(3). It's a nonprofit, and all of this is to serve the youth in our community, and we need that.
Yes.
We need these because you know what it does? It gives our kids something to do other than something they're not supposed to do. So with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Talk of the Town. This has been Jon Adams. Skol Vikings, great win, and as always, stay black.